Connacht's Denis Buckley will make his 200th appearance for the province on Saturday against Benetton in Treviso. He'll become the third Connacht player after John Muldoon and Michael Swift to reach this landmark. I'm delighted to say, in conjunction with his sponsor, the Clare Galway Hotel, he joins me this afternoon here to discuss what that means and how he got there. Denis, great to have you along.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me.
Where did rugby start for you? What's your first memory going back?
It started out in Craig's. So it's a very small rugby club, and it looked very different back then to how it looks now. But my dad brought me down to Craig's, and I think it was at sort of an under-8 level, and it's just sort of just a lot of chaos on the pitch. But I just really enjoyed it, and I played a lot of different sports from a really young age, but rugby's always the one that I enjoyed a lot of them, but rugby was always the one that I seemed to excel in a little bit better than others. From there, I just really, I suppose, just kept going back and playing more and more.
And that started off as fun rugby, but then you were a member of the Blackrock College team that won the Leinster Cup in 2009. So it had got a bit more serious at that stage. But how did you come to Connacht then? I know you're a Connacht man, but what was the link up?
So I played with Craig's from all underage up to say under 14s, and even when I was in school, I played a little bit of underage with Craig's. I think I played in under 16s once or twice as well. But basically, I played for Craig's at underage level, and then I went to boarding school in Blackrock, and so it was the rugby up there is taken quite seriously. So it was a bit different from down in Craig's, but I just, like I said, like the more I played it, the more I enjoyed it, and I when I went in when I was 13, I don't think I was at I wouldn't have been on the first team. I would have been on the B team, as it was called, and in first year, and then second year similar, sort of in and out of the first, and then junior cup I was on the in and out of the team a lot, and we had a pretty strong team. And in the cup that year, I think I was subbing and starting and sort of switching in and out a little bit. And then from the age of, I think it was 15, I think I played a game with Craig's and I did pretty well in it. And there was sort of a Connacht development development squad or development for the trial games where they just broke a large number down into teams and just sort of had 4 or 5 games, like short games, and they sort of picked the development squad from that. And so I did that when I was 14, 15, and it's funny, Nigel Carlin was actually the coach at the time, who's obviously our attack coach at the moment. And so I played, I got into those development squads with Connacht, and then say the summer after junior cup, so I would have been 15, I was brought in with I think about 12 other lads in my age group in Connacht, and we were put up in accommodation in Galway for the summer, and it's sort of an 8-week pre-season, like 5 days a week, pretty full on, like it's a similar sort of training that we do now, and sort of got my head in the door with Connacht that way. And then like I was still in school in Dublin, and I played a little bit with the senior team in 4th year, and again the summer after that, again the same thing down with Connacht, and I was sort of playing for Connacht development teams at that age, and we'd gone on. I think I'd been over to England. We played Leicester Tigers and maybe 1 or 2 other games. London Wasps we played as well. So I was sort of playing with Blackrock, and then in the summers I was part of the Connacht development teams, and then. When was it in 5th year? So I wasn't. How it works in Leinster with the school system is they sort of Leinster will pick lads from the schools games and bring them into like a training squad for the Leinster schools team. And so I didn't get selected for that or anything. And I was been playing with Connacht at the time, so I was allowed to play with the Connacht under 18 schools team in the Interpros when I was. It was like the start of 5th year, I think, and I did pretty well in that, and then got into the Ireland schools squad that year as well, and I was playing senior cup that year. And then the following year, the way it worked out with the rules was, at that stage, maybe I would have been on the radar for the Leinster schools teams, and so I had to. The rule was that I had to play with them that year. So in sixth year, I played with the Leinster under 19 schools team, I think it was, and we had an interpros, and I think there was an Ireland team picked off the back of that, but I didn't make the Ireland team that year. And then at the end of sixth year, then Connacht, who I'd been involved with all the way up from about 14 or 15, offered me an academy contract. So like I put all my college CAO options or whatever they're called for Galway, and joined the academy then the year after, or when I left school. I came down, finished leaving cert in June, and then was in for pre-season in July and August with Connacht. And at that stage I wouldn't have been like, just at the start we weren't training with the seniors or anything. It was quite similar to the underage years, where you're just put up in Galway for the summer, and you do sort of a full-on pre-season, and you played like an under-20s interpros at the end of it. And then during that year I was in college in Galway, and I was training with the academy and training with the Ireland under-20s team as well. And then the next year after that, so my second year academy, was when I started to be integrated into the senior team a little bit. And again, like we have a lot of props, and so I would have been 19, 20 at this stage, and props like probably a hard enough position to break through just because of the physical demands. So again, that year I trained with the senior team and was fully integrated with them, but I never actually got picked to play with them. But I suppose I sort of found my feet a little bit with playing with bigger lads, and with playing rugby with Corinthians for both of those years, and had great times there. And then the following year, which would have been my third year academy now, at the start of the year, so I did another pre-season with them when I was fully integrated with them at this stage. And then the first game of the year, which was over against Treviso, I was on the bench. I think it was Brett Wilkinson at the time had been away with Ireland on the summer tour that year, so he wasn't back available yet for that first game. So it was Ronan Loughney who was starting, and I was on the bench for him. So that was my first cap.
That was the 3rd of September 2011, boiling hot evening in Treviso.
Yeah, it was Treviso away. It was like that first game of the year, and it was a late summer over there, and it was very hot. And I remember that it was 30 degrees, maybe even a little bit more. And they broke the game into 4 quarters for water, and just because how hot it was, to give players a break. And I came on then for the last quarter.
And that was a signal of that's where it started. And now we've got to this position down 10 years later, 200 caps. There's interesting symmetries. Your 100th cap was against Cardiff on a freezing cold night in Cardiff, when you started and Ronan Loughney came on to replace you. So you were tied in there, and now you're going back to Benetton on Saturday. Just looking, you've spoken about the pride in playing for Connacht and what it means. So you've been with them for such a long time. Can you give us a feel for that? Because at times other clubs must have come with offers.
Yeah, like I said, my first sort of open training session, if that's what it is you'd call it, or sort of trial, I suppose, was when I was 14. So that's a long time ago now. And from being involved at underage squads in Connacht, and then coming through the academy, and then my debut 10 years ago, and 200 caps later, it's obviously, I understand that I'm pretty privileged. I've done all that, and to be able to represent Connacht, and it's where I'm from. It's something that I'm pretty proud of. In a way, 200 caps is great, and it's great to market, but at the same time, it's not really any more important than cap 199 or cap 201. But it is something I'm proud of to get there. And yeah, look, over the years, I've had 1 or 2 decisions to make at different stages, with different opportunities that were available. And yeah, look, I'm really happy with how things have turned out. I look at someone like John Muldoon and how he was a one club man, and how that's something that I know he was very proud of. And obviously, at this stage, it looks pretty likely that'll be the route that I'm going down as well. So yeah, like it's pretty cool that I've played for Connacht this many times, and hopefully I have a few more games left as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing that strikes me is there needs to be a real progression in how you've played and what you've taken from maybe the different coaches that you've worked with over that time, so that you're still at your top of the game and you're still prepared to take on board new ideas, new thoughts. How has that worked? Because you've gone through different head coaches and different forwards coaches in your time.
Yeah, like the game has changed a lot over 10 years, but in a way it hasn't changed that much at all. I suppose if you like, when I look back, I sort of break it down into the different coaches that I've had. And I suppose in the early days when Eric was my coach and Dan was our forwards coach, I was just really trying to find my feet a little bit and sort of find out the type of player that I am really, and you're developing in those years quite a lot. And yeah, their guidance, I suppose, to help me, particularly Dan, like how he sort of helped me develop and helped me get into the team a little bit initially, and then how he helped me stay there and improve performances, and how I could sort of contribute to the team's performances, and particularly around the set piece with him being elusive. That was huge for me in my early days. And then, you know, they moved on, and Pat and Jimmy came in, and again, Jimmy helped me so much over the years. He really sort of, I suppose, when Jimmy came in, he treated me like one of the senior players in the team from a relatively young age, and I think that helped my development a lot as well. And he gave me a lot of responsibility around the scrum, and he's constantly there to provide feedback and you know, do one-on-ones with me and show me video clips. And obviously that coincided with Pat coming in. And yeah, I think from the early years to when Pat came in, I think my game changed quite a bit under Pat. It's sort of when, you know, Pat liked to contest breakdowns, and that was something that ended up being quite a strength of mine under him, and it sort of worked well with how we defended at the time. That, you know, a lot of the time we had a chop tackle focus, and we had a +1 in the breakdown to try and disrupt, and it just suited my game. And again, like I'm not the biggest prop, but while I don't have a lot of size, it does help me with mobility and being able to get around the pitch. And I think again, my sort of game started to develop with that as a big strength, and I think that suited how I played under Pat. And then, you know, we had that year with KK, and then Friendly came in, and the last years at Friendly have been great as well. And again, I suppose my role with Friendly has probably changed quite a bit as well, because from when he's been in, and particularly in the last year, I have been one of the senior guys in the group now, and, you know, obviously it's a big milestone to get the 200 caps, and I'd have the most caps in the squad now. And I suppose he's sort of helped me develop that role a little bit. And with Pete Wilkins coming in as well as a defence coach, and our defence system changed massively. And that was something I had to adapt to a lot as well. You know, we want numbers in the line now, and we want double shots, and we want sort of some physical dominance, and that's the way Pete coaches, and that's great. And I think he's one of the best coaches around. And but I certainly had to change my game, not change my game, but just adapt to it and adapt to the way that we wanted to play. So yeah, like I don't think it's changed too much over the years, to be fair, but certainly some small tweaks here and there from having maybe, like, your set piece is going to be pretty consistent, is going to be a pretty consistent part of your performance as a prop all the way through. But say around the pitch, and particularly in defence, my role has maybe changed a little bit, from going as maybe sort of playing that fetcher role to now trying to just bring that energy and sort of lead the defence in other ways. You know, we've got a huge focus on line speed, and we have a huge focus on double efforts and stuff like that. So that's how you can kind of make your mark in the team now as well. And obviously, look, we still have a focus on trying to take ball off the opposition, and if it's there, you take it. So yeah, I don't think it's changed too much over the years, but at the same time, there have been some tweaks along the way with different coaches, and as I've developed physically as well. I definitely, in my younger years, I don't think I would have been as fit as I am now. I think fitness has just become a strength of mine over the years, but when I was in the academy, I don't think it would have been. And it's just from, I suppose, when you play with bigger guys, you have to adapt and you have to sort of find the strength somewhere. And I think over the years, having a good engine and being pretty fit and mobile around the pitch has helped me and been a bit of a weapon for me. And I don't think I play too much the traditional prop role of being big and physical. But I think that sort of mobile and having a lot of involvements has sort of been what I can focus on and what helps me to get a good performance in.
Yeah, it strikes me as well, and I mean this as a compliment. I think you're a smart rugby player. I mean, I always get the feeling that if you're under pressure in the first or second scrum, you'll figure it out. And that comes from the experience. I've seen this before. I know what he's at. He's pulling down or he's driving in or whatever. And is that something that you can pass on now to younger players? Can you say, look, this is what you have to look for? And you might see stuff that a coach doesn't even see because you're at the closest point to where it's all happening.
Yeah, it's 100% you're right. I think when Tom McCartney came in, I was relatively still young at that stage, and particularly in scrum experience, I was quite inexperienced, and having Tom there was like having sort of a coach beside you in games, and when things were going wrong, he was pretty quick at figuring it out and coming up with tactics to problem solve in the middle of games and to do it pretty quick. So I certainly learned a lot from scrummaging with him and training and playing with him over the years. And I suppose now it's about trying to pass that knowledge on. Yeah, I even just think back to the Munster game, our last game out there, where the scrum was maybe under a little bit of pressure, and I came on early, and the scrum was under pressure as well when I came on. When Paddy went off for a blood sub in it, but I just felt that they were getting across us, and then just speaking to Dell about how we can maybe block their tight head from getting across, and that'll allow me to get more of a piece of him when I push, and how we can maybe control his height. There's little things like that, and I suppose all I'm doing is sort of passing on knowledge that's been given to me by, say, Tom was a big one, and Dan in the early years, and Jimmy as well, and then when these situations occur in games, I suppose I have those that experience now that I can try and help the group problem solve.
Any match in particular that stands out in the 199 you've played? Is there one there that sort of goes, yeah, and I'll still be talking about that one maybe in 20 years or 30 years time?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I suppose, and I know that I just have a think of this one, but the one for me was actually this year, and maybe it's just because it's fresh in the memory. I'm not sure, but the Leinster away game this year at Christmas was a pretty special one. Not because we beat Leinster in the rivalry or anything like that. It was just that. So that week. Over the Christmas we play our inch pros, and we have our 3-inch pros, and I think we had Ulster and Munster at home, and we had Leinster away, and not that we were targeting the two home games, and I'm not going to target the away game, but I think the goal was to rotate a little bit for that Leinster away game and go with the perceived strongest team for the two home games against Munster and Ulster. So we got to the Leinster week, and I wasn't playing, and there's a few other lads not playing, and then the week before Leinster were playing Munster, we played Ulster, and that game actually got cancelled because of a positive COVID case and a close contact. So they had the week off previously, and then so we were in our week, and I wasn't playing. There was a good few other lads not playing. The team was named, and then we had a positive COVID case, and there was about 5 or 6 close contacts to that person, just from housemates and different things. So that ruled about 6 lads out of the 23 that was named on Tuesday. And then on top of that, then I think another 1 or 2 got injured, and the team completely changed in the space of a few days. And from the team named Tuesday to the team that did the captain's run on Thursday or Friday, whatever day it was, again, it was very different. And I remember just that week speaking to Quinn, it was his first game back from injury, and then he was down to captain now with all these changes, and he was just saying, like, obviously the week before their game was called off because of sort of a very similar situation, and I think he'd spoken to Friendly, and they're sort of like, what do we want to do here? And I was speaking to Quinn as well, and Quinn was saying, like, geez, I really think we should just go for this. Like, the team's very different, but look, let's just I don't like the saying we've got nothing to lose, but it was a little bit like, Joe, let's go and let's give it a real go. And the group got together, hadn't trained yet. Obviously we trained together week in, week out, but there was lads making their debut in that game, and there was combinations that hadn't played together before and certainly hadn't played together this year. And we went up, and just from the start it was just in their face performance. You know, we were so aggressive in defence, and I think that energy from the start was contagious in the group. And you know, set after set of D, we were flying, and then it was kind of forcing them to make mistakes. And then, you know, when we got the ball, we were scoring some nice tries, and we were scoring tries off the back of our aggressive defence as well. And that was just, I remember the feeling after the game, and speaking again to Quinn after that game, and it was a pretty special performance, and it taught me a lot about your preparation and sort of the power of your attitude and the power of the group's attitude when you really get together collectively, what you can achieve. And sort of, that, like, I don't like saying it, I've said it twice now, but playing without fear and playing that, you know, let's go for this and we don't have anything to lose here. And yeah, it was pretty powerful that we were able to go up there and get a win. And at the time, I don't think Leinster had lost in 20 something games in the league. You know, they regular league winners, a lot of internationals playing, maybe not their first choice team, but they did have a lot of first choice players playing. It was a good Leinster team, and that was one that I think I'll remember for a few years. Yeah.
Do you know when the game is a few minutes old, or you're getting into it? Do you know we're absolutely on it tonight, or we're a little bit down here, we're going to have to watch this, we're not quite where we should be? Are you judging that all the time? And with your experience, can you maybe sniff that out before some of the other younger players might?
I think you can feel it, yeah. Particularly in defence, you know, attack you have systems, and you've got sort of a lot of set roles and moves, and you execute them, and it is what it is. But particularly on defence, I think that sort of when attitude really comes into it, and you can feel that energy in the group, and you can feel when lads are really bringing that line speed, and they're really energizing everyone around them. Yeah, I think you can feel when you're on and when you're not there. Like, there's certainly been games when I felt that we started a little bit flat, and maybe it takes someone coming up with a big play or something to happen, and it sort of flicks a switch for the group. So yeah, things can change pretty quick in games. But yeah, I think most lads that would make sense to most lads, that, you know, you can feel that sort of energy, and you can feel that sort of purpose. Early in the game, and you can feel a change as well, positively or negatively.
200 caps, plenty more to add. What do you think the future holds for you? Are you a goal setter, or are you somebody that takes it as it comes in the sporting context? No, I do set goals. What's going to come, I don't know. Well, I've signed earlier in the year. I signed the new 2-year contract with Connacht, so I'm here for the next 2 and a bit years, anyways. Which will take me to 32. So we'll see what happens then. But yeah, look, the next 2 years I'm with Connacht, and want to try and do as well as I can with them. You know, I still feel like I have a lot of room to improve, and I still feel like different parts of my game improve season on season. So I certainly want to look at next year and finish out this year, but particularly next year, and with the break over the summer to try and find some improvement to my game. Like I still think there's room to improve around my ball carry and maybe some tackle dominance, and even still some improvements on fitness levels, and just being there in games for full 80 minutes or 60, 65 plus anyways. So yeah, like I do set some goals. Like a lot of them will be around my individual and around the team's performance, and how I can sort of contribute to that. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to the next 2 years and see where that takes me. Well, we certainly are looking forward to it. You've been a phenomenal servant for Connacht. It's been great to talk to you this afternoon, Denis. We look forward to seeing you many more times. Enjoy your 200th appearance against Benetton, and we'll talk again soon.
Lovely, thanks very much.
Galway Bay